Hi, Mr. Natural from Mr. Natural's classroom here, and today we're going to learn to read music by number on the staff. The first thing to know about reading music by number is that the clefs and the key signatures really don't matter at this level. The first thing to do is to see how the staff works in terms of enumeration without the clefs and without the key signature, and then later we'll show you how to decode it with those. So the first thing to know about decoding music on the staff is that the staff is made of lines, space, line, space, line, space, line, space. There are 5 lines and 6 spaces. And this is called the staff. Now on the staff, usually one of these lines or one of these spaces will be where the counting of the music starts. The first note, usually do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We are using interval distances or numbers to describe this. Doesn't matter what scale that we use, any scale would have the same enumeration, which is the first note of the scale is the number 1, the second note of the scale is the number 2, the third is the number 3, so on and so forth. If we analyze the patterns that occur on the staff, we will notice that if I start numbering, let's say, with this line here as my number 1, then this is 1, the next space would be 2, the next line would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're right back to 1. And it is just this simple. Now, if we look at all the lines, we will notice that on this line is the number 1, on that line is the number 3, on that line is the number 5, and on this line is the number 7. Another pattern occurs with all the spaces. The first space here is the number 2, the second space is the number 4, and the third space is the number 6. And what happens is the lines and the spaces tend to fall either on all the spaces or all of the lines. So if we look, 1, 3, 5, 7 land on all the lines, and 2, 4, and 6 are landing on the spaces. This brings up a pattern which I call the circle of thirds. And here on the board I have drawn the pattern with a little symbol to help you remember it. The top is the number 1. If we skip from one line to the next line, we go straight to the number 3. We're skipping over 2. If we skip from the 3 to the next line, it's the number 5. If we were to skip from there to the next line, it would be the number 7. The next line would be, if we continued this pattern from 7, this next line would be 2, and the line above that would be 4, and the line above that, 6, and then it returns to 1. So this pattern happens over and over and over, and this pattern is called the circle of thirds. Now, the circle of thirds will help us decode the music into number codes and also give our eye something to learn to read the music with. This also gives us all the spellings for all of the chords in the diatonic series. A 1 chord would just be 3 notes, 1, 3, and 5. A chord in the 4th position of the scale would start with the number 4 and be 4, 6, and 1. And a chord starting on the 5th position of the scale would be spelled 5, 7, and 2. So this wheel, or circle of thirds, also spells all of the diatonic generic chords that happen. Another thing that this thing does is we have what's called the circle of fifths in music. And if we skip every one of these, 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, we now have the circle of fifths, which we will show you later in harmonies how this is used to create chord progressions in music. Usually it goes backwards. 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, and 1. Now I can take this number pattern and I can place this on the staff anywhere I want, starting with the number 1 on any line or any space. At first I'm going to do just the lines. So if 1 is here, the line above will be 3, The line above that will be 5. The line above that will be the number 7. And the line above that will be the number 2. If we go to a ledger line above that, it will be the number 4. And if we do 2 ledger lines above that, it will be the number 6. And 3 ledger lines above that, and we return to the number 1. Going in the opposite direction, we have 1 going to the ledger line below. This pattern goes in reverse, goes from 1 to 6. 2 ledger lines below would rotate us down to the number 4, and 3 ledger lines below would rotate us down to the number 2. So now this is more than enough numbering to figure out how to read anything if the number landed on the first line. Let's take a look and see what happens if the same pattern lands on the next line above it. This would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 1 ledger line is 2, and 2 ledger lines is 4, and going down, 6, 4, 2 ledger lines below, 2. So you can see we have a 2.5 octave bandwidth here by doing this, and now the number 1 is starting on this line here. Let's see what happens if we start right here with the number 1. Here's the number 1, going backwards, 6, 4, 1 ledger line under would be 2, going forward, this space going up to that line is 3, going through that space to that line is 5, and the next ledger line above would be 7, etc. Let's see what happens if we label this line. If that's the number 1, then this is 3, and the ledger line above that would be 5, and rotating this system backwards, 1, 6, 4, 2, ledger line under, 7, 2 ledger lines under, 5. Let's see what happens when we label the top one as the number 1. 1, 6, 4, 2, 7, 5, 3. And going up, 1, 3, 2 ledger lines, 5. So you can see if I place the number 1 on any one of the lines, I can use this wheel to label all of the lines, rotating the wheel forward, going up, rotating the wheel backwards, coming down. And it would be the same thing if any one of these spaces were the number 1. If I start below here, and this is 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, etc. If I start with it here, this is 1, going back, 6, going up, 3, 5, 7, 2. If I were to start here, this would be 1, 6, 4, going up, 3, 5, 7. If I start here, 1, 6, 4, 2, 3, 5, and if I start on this top space, 1, 6, 4, 2, 7, and going up 3. So you can see we have now labeled all of the spaces using this pattern of every other thing. Now, in this case, the lines would also follow the same pattern. Between 1 and 3 would be 2. The next line up would be, of course, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5, etc. So now how do I apply this concept to keys? Well, first we're going to start with the keys that are the most popular for the guitar, which are the key of G, D, A, and E. These are the most popular keys played on the guitar. And all of them have one thing in common: they all use sharps in their key signature to show us where the number 1 is. So now how do I apply this concept to keys? Well, first we're going to start with the keys that are the most popular for the guitar, which are the key of G, D, A, and E. These are the most popular keys played on the guitar. And all of them have one thing in common: they all use sharps in their key signature to show us where the number 1 is. Now, in this concept, the sharp on the right is always the number 7. So if I know where any number on any of these staffs are, I can use this wheel to generate the rest of the number pattern that I need in order to read music. So the number here is really the number 7. So we're going to say that sharps are the number 7. And now, if I know that this sharp here is on this top line, that this top line is now the number 7, I can now apply this wheel rotating forward or backwards to number the staff for the key of G. Coming down to this line here would be the number 5. Coming back to the next line would be the number 3. Coming back to the next line would be the number 1. So right here, that is where the G is at. Right there. So that line now becomes my number 1 in the key of G. And if I go further down here, that would be 6. Now this is only true for the treble clef. If I had the bass clef or I had the viola clef, this sharp would be in a different location, but it would still be the number 7. And we'll show you that in the future. Right now, let's look at the number, the D. For the D, we have 2 sharps, and this sharp here is on this space, which means that this space right here must be the number 7, because the last sharp is always the number 7. So now 7 up to the next one would be a 2. 2 goes up to 4, so that space is 4. Going from 7 down, we have 5, 3, and right here is a number 1. So at the very bottom here, under the staff, the first space below the staff is where the number 1 would be in the key of D, and then we'd have 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, and we could label all those. To label the key of A, again, the last sharp here is on this top space. So this top space here would be the number 7, because the last sharp is always 7. So then coming down, this space would be the number 5, this space would be the number 3, and right here would be the number 1. And that is the letter name A. Continuing down, this would be 6, and continuing down, that space would be 4. So now we have numbered the key of A, with 1 starting here on this space. Now we'll look at E. In the key of E, again, the last sharp is the number 7. And if we go down, this line becomes 5, this line becomes 3, and this bottom line here is the number 1. This is where our Do, or the number 1, is at. And again, 1, 3, 5, 7, this line would be 2. And of course the ledger lines would continue. So as you can see, for E, the bottom line is E, that's where 1 is. For the A, this second space here is A, that's where 1 would be. For D, the space below the staff is where 1 is at. And for G, the second line in the staff is the number 1. And you will see that this pattern, we can label all the lines or all the spaces using this pattern. And now we're going to do a practical demonstration of this. We're going to take 4 pieces of music that are each in one of these 4 keys, and we will actually label the numbers on the music so we can decode the songs. And now we're going to do a practical demonstration of this. We're going to take 4 pieces of music that are each in one of these 4 keys, and we will actually label the numbers on the music so we can decode the songs. Now we're going to use a practical demonstration of this method. I'm going to take all of my examples from this book, the Jerry Snyder's Children's Songbook for Guitar. The 4 keys that are popular in guitar are the key of D, which has 2 sharps, the key of G, which has 1 sharp, the key of E, which has 4 sharps, and the key of A, which has 3 sharps. These are the 4 most popular keys on the guitar. let's start with the key of G, or 1 sharp. And as we've shown you already, we use the sharp to find out where the number 7 is. And in this case, this line right here is where the sharp is, so that is the number 7. So if that's 7, then this line, the next line down is 5, the next line down is 3, and this line right here then now becomes the number 1. And this note here would now be the note 1. And if I put the number 1 in front of it, that'll give me my coordination. So now if I count backwards, this line would be 6, and being below that line, this starts out as the number 5. So I just write in front of it the number 5. Then this is the number 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then the line below is 6, so that's 5, and then 1, 1, 1, and then this would be 7, 1, 2, this space here would be 4, 4, 4, this line would be, the space is 2, 2, 2, because it's just one line above the 1. One line below would be 7, 7, down here to 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 1, 3, 1. We know the piece is in the key of G because the sharp points to the number 7. It tells us that this line right here is the number 1, and we can confirm this key signature by looking at the last note, because most music ends on the number 1. And if indeed we ended here on the number 1 on the G, then the key signature has been confirmed and we've labeled this correctly. If this, however, winds up on the number 6 or on the number 2, then it is not major, it's minor, and sharing the same key signature with the minor. Now let's take a look quickly at another song. This time the song has 2 sharps, and this sharp is on the space right here, which is where the number 7 is at. So that space is 7, this space right here would be 5, that space would be 3, and the bottom space now is the number 1. So this is Do, or 1. So that's a 1. This next note is a 1. Then we jump up to a 5, 5, we jump up to a 6, 6, come down to a 5, right here we have a 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. We jump up to a 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. And now we've just labeled this song in the key of D. 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. And again, we look at the key signature, we confirm that it lands on the number 1 in the key of D, so this confirms that this is the major key signature and not the minor key signature. And now here we have the key of A, and in the key of A, we can look at the last note here is the number 1, and so A is on that second space there. How can we tell? again, this sharp here is above the line, and it is the number 7. So the space below that is 5, the space below that is 3, and now here's that space, which is our number 1, coming down, 6, and the next space below is 4. So this song starts on the number 3. So it goes 3, 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 5, 1, 7, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, 6, 5, and the last thing here is 7, 6, 5, 1, 4, 3, 1, 2, 6, 7, 1. And that's Rockabye Baby. The next key has 4 sharps. It's the key of E, and if we go to the last note, you can see it lands on the letter name E, so this is the number 1. Let's see from the key signature. The last sharp is on this line here, which is the number 7. So the next line below, the B line, is the number 5. The next line below that is the number 3, and that makes this bottom line here the X, or the number 1. So that right there is the number 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 5. The line down would be 6, 1 under that is 5. 1, that means 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 5, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 5, 1, 1, 3, 3, 2, sorry, this is 1, 1, 5, 5, 2, 3, 1. 1, 1, 5, 5, 2, 3, 1. And now we've just numbered this in the key of E. So those are the 4 guitar keys and where they start and how to number them.